Good. It's good to be back with you boys. How we all doing?
Doing good, man. How you fellas
Yeah,
doing?
doing pretty good, bro. Pretty good. Pretty good.
Finally happy for a real card to be kicking off this weekend and at a reasonable hour.
Yeah, reasonable for
Yeah,
you. Yes.
yeah. I know we know you love this start time. I actually, to be fair, I'm not mad at it. I'm
I'm
not
not,
mad at it at
dude.
all.
Oh,
I
what? So you
like it.
get to have your card after as breakfast starts, yeah? Cry me a
Yeah,
river.
it's not bad.
Cry me a river, mate.
I like it. I like it. I was saying on I don't even remember what it was, but um it's like college football. Like you get to
Mm-hmm.
watch something and then you actually have your Saturday.
Yep.
So I can't be
I'll
mad at
say it
that.
again. You lot are scum. Just absolute scum fans. Terrible, terrible MMA fans. You don't understand the pain.
We are.
And the thing is, yeah, this is a bonus for me because I did not realize that the card was on early. I just thought it was another. I forgot that it was in Saudi Arabia
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
until I looked down the card and I was like, yeah, it's definitely a Saudi Arabia card.
Mm-hmm.
You know how that goes. This is actually slightly, well, not even slightly. It is way better than was it 312?
Oh yeah, for sure.
That card's embarrassing.
Dude, I'm already reading the comments and read what Western put. So,
Yeah, raw. Yeah.
oh man, can't have
How you
nothing
doing,
out here.
Westy? Good to see you, bro. Yeah, because we reveal how ugly we really are when we don't have the camera or mirror in it.
For real.
Yep.
Or it goes the other way around. Anyway, it's good to see you, boys. We'll start with the we are expecting one more guest to turn up, but before we do, I guess we'll get started on the first fight of the card, or the first fight on the main card, because I don't really give a shit about the rest of it. This is quite an intriguing one for a number of reasons. Let me see if I can find the There we go. So we've got Mike Davis versus Fares Ziam. Who wants to take this one first?
I can talk about that one first. And it's really going to be talking about only one person, and it's Mike Davis. Dude, like, I mean, Frankie knows, like, I'm a really big Mike Davis fan. He super impressed me during the pandemic when he fought Gifford, and he basically beat the dog shit out of that dude, and that dude wouldn't go away. And he just showed like different levels to his game that I just didn't see before. And so ever since then, I know he's had some injuries and a lot of things to overcome. I know the skills are there for him to actually do something of importance in this division, but he's got to put it all together. And I really do feel like this is where it's going to start. I think ZM's coming. Is he have a 4-fight win streak or something like that? I don't know what he.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a good person to get started. Turning the corner and making an actual statement in the division with. So I'm excited about this fight, but it really is primarily about Mike Davis.
What do you reckon, Cross?
Man, I'm right there with you. So, Zim's coming off that brutal knee KO over Frivola at UFC Paris. That was just brutal.
That's true.
But, dude's definitely going to have a reach advantage, long rangey striker. But, man, Davis is just well rounded. I think he's just going to use that grappling in this fight, man, to just control ZM, beat him up on the ground, and just go from there. Like, I'm fully with you on this one, Jax, with Mike Davis.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, I think this is going to be a clean sweep, but I don't think it's going to be. I'm very high on Mike Davis as well. I think he's incredible. But I've always been a big like Ziam doubter, and he's fucked me over every single time. I think I've bet against him like 4 times in a row, and every time I've been wrong. Obviously, after he lost to Terrence McKinney, and you guys know how I feel about that guy. He's
Oh
awful.
man, yeah.
But then he goes and fights. You could argue like increasingly good competition after that, and he continues to look really, really good. I do think I'm with you guys though. I think Davis is much better than anyone else he's fought so far. Very well rounded. There is of course, the scary notion that Davis obviously hasn't been as active as he could have been over the last few years, which could be a problem. But I think the guy is so underrated, so skilled, and most casuals don't really know how good this guy is, including ourselves. So I think he's going to do really well here. I think it's going to be closer than probably people expect. I can see it going to a decision. And I think Mike Davis will just see it out by being that little bit more technical. But I think it's going to be a tough fight for him. But I'm going with Mike Davis as well. So we've got our first clean sweep.
That might be the first one. That might be the first one of 2025 right there.
Might be the first one. It might be the last one of the night as well.
Might be. Hey, before we jump into the next one, dude, I got a question for y'all, and it's about Terrence McKinney. You just brought him up. I know he just recently had a kid, right? And he put pictures out there. Yeah, he put pictures out there of him cutting the umbilical cord. Did you see a crossover?
Nah, I haven't seen that, dog.
Does anyone have a picture of his wife? I need to confirm something.
He didn't show that, but he did show what was inside of his wife, and that's the umbilical cord. So my question is, like, knowing that if you were in his place, he's an athlete that has a bit of a following, people know him whether good or bad, would you be posting those type of pictures on social media?
I didn't think that's the direction you were going in. This is a surprising question. I thought you were going to go with something else.
I'm curious.
I mean, I don't think I would post the umbilical cord. I probably would do, I don't know, something like maybe like me holding like my kid or something like that. But nah, I don't think it would be like in the delivery room at all.
It was in there, like still ain't been cleaned or nothing, just raw.
I'd like to think that I wouldn't do that, but as well, being a father yourself, like the emotions can overcome you, especially if I assume it's his first child, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I imagine he probably was just kind of. I'm not saying the first one's the most special because it wasn't the same in my case, but it's like you definitely. I hope so. I hope my kids ain't listening.
Shots fired.
My brain needs a filter, there's something wrong with me. I think I need to get tested again.
Oh man.
Anyway, I think I can understand why it might have occurred that way, is all I'm saying. Would I do it like if there was forethought before it? Then no, I wouldn't do any. If you're in the public eye, I always think it's like, don't put your family stuff out there anyway. But something that personal and that gross, nah, bro.
Oh, he's got 2 kids. Okay.
No excuse then. I take it all back. He's a weirdo. Anyway, I thought you were gonna ask if, like, being a father is gonna stop him from getting his ass whooped.
That's what I was thinking too. That's where I thought he was going.
I thought he was gonna get all like parental on us.
I knew the answer.
And I was gonna say, yeah. You knew what I was gonna say. Yeah. All right. So next one up. I'm interested to know what you guys think about this one. Said Nurmagomedov versus Vinicius Oliveira. Now, obviously, the Nurmagomedov name has gone through quite a rough patch starting 2025 for the first time in a long time. The aura of invincibility is dwindling a little bit. Now, I know he's not a real Nurmagomedov in the sense that he's not related to Khabib and Umar, but how do you see this one going?
I'll take this one. So I think this is going to be a lot of fun. Said, man, his kicks are very, very fast, very explosive. His boxing isn't the greatest. Doesn't really use the jab much. Uses a spinning back fist as like a rangefinder, which is very unique. And then on top of it, like we've seen in other fights, like his cardio kind of come into play and him slow down big time in his fights. And Oliveira is a guy with very high output, got power in his hands. I think it's going to be fun, but I'm going Oliveira in this one.
Man, this
Interesting.
one's tough. This is another one of those. Should I go with the person that I've kind of been rooting for a while, or somebody who's actually on a win streak? And I mean, as far as like Saeed, you kind of pointed out the technical part of it as far as his striking. But he has a kind of a he's part of the Nurmagomedov side that's exciting, that's not grapple heavy, that
Mhm.
you will possibly see a destructive finish instead of being ground and pound or something like that. So I want to see him do well, but Oliveira he's unsung. I would say he's very underrated. On a 4-fight win streak. Um, I'm gonna go with Saeed, but I have reservations. I'm not sold on that pick. But I'm gonna go with Saeed on that one.
Yeah, this is another one that's I had to really give some thought to. I think you pointing out about Said's like inclination to kind of not grapple is what's going to make this one interesting. I do expect this one to be a stand-up fight, and for that reason, I'm kind of going to lean with what Crossover's on. I think Vinicius is powerful. I think he's pretty active in there. I think he's going to land more and do more damage, and I think he's just a little bit. He's got a little bit more pop than Saeed. I
Mhm.
do the one caveat I will say to that though is we do have to remember that this is in Saudi Arabia. So I feel like and obviously he might not be one of the Nurmagomedovs, but he has the name. There is that concern that I feel like for Vinicius to win, clearly he's probably going to have to make it undeniable, in my opinion. I mean, in that region, you know, he's likely to get the benefit of the doubt. Let's put it that way. So instead of doing what I usually do and say, "Oh well, I think Vinicius is going to win the fight, but I think he's going to get robbed." I'm just going to say Vinicius is going to win the fight, but I'm just going to leave that dangling there because I think there's a very strong possibility that that could come into play.
Hopefully, with what happened in the first fight the last time they were over there, they'll do a better job about it this time and be on top of things.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
you'd hope so. I mean, there is the element as well that it feels like like the element of when it rains, it pours. It feels like we've obviously had Umar losing, we've had Usman having a lot of people, which we'll talk about a little bit later. The whole situation with him and Paul Hughes, so it feels like it could be, you know, a case of an avalanche of just bad juju towards the Nurmagomedovs, who have obviously dominated for quite some time. All right, so we're a little bit split on that one. Who's next? Oh yeah, this is a good one as well. We've got Sergey Pavlovich against Jairzinho Rosenstruik. Quite a strange one in that who knew we would be talking about this one as potentially even happening, considering where these two men were 18 months ago.
hmm
So, what do you boys reckon? Where do you see this one going?
Um, when I was talking, I did a live a little bit earlier, and towards the beginning of it, I was talking about the fact that I was confused on why this isn't getting a little bit more publicity than it is currently, considering where they sit in the division. And of course, I know what's happened to them. Sergey had his opportunity and got knocked out, lost against Volkov after that, and he's kind of fell down and in the graces of the title gods, I would say. But I still feel like he's unbelievably powerful, and he can put anybody's lights out. He has a crazy reach, and Jairzinho's not going to take him down. So if we're going to be standing and all it takes is one, I'm going to lean towards Pavlovich because I feel like his one is a little bit stronger than Jairzinho's, even though Jairzinho is way more technical. I just feel like Sergey's power is gonna rule the day on Saturday.
For me in this one, just like you said, Jack, Sergey's on a little bit of a skid with the Aspinall fight and then the Volkov fight. But in those fights, in those matchups, he was fighting other guys that had similar type of reaches as him Whereas in this fight, he's going to have a 6-inch reach advantage against Rosenstrike. And Rosenstrike's been on a little bit of a roll, been doing well. But if we look at his track record when he's fought power punchers, they always seem to have his number. They just always clip him at some point and get him out of there. And then on top of it, the 6-inch reach difference. At some point, Pavlovich is going to land something because, I mean, these guys are heavyweights. Jairzinho moves decently well, but these guys are definitely going to hit one another. And like you said, Pavlovich just got nukes in those hands, man. He catch you clean, and that's it. So I'm going with Pav too.
Yeah, I'm along similar lines. I think like the only thing that wasn't, I mean, you guys have pretty much covered everything I was going to say, but in terms of, I wanted to add the addition of Pavlovich's chin as well. I think is a bit better, or a lot better. I know he got knocked out by Tom, but we saw him take some really big shots from Volkov, and he kind of managed to weather through them. So, and as you said, we've seen Rosenstrike get absolutely flatlined, like pretty much ironed out. And against a man like this, when they're likely to have exchanges where they're both going to throw at each other, you've got to pick Pav. I do agree that Rosenstrike is far more technical, though. Obviously has a lot more experience, but I just think that equalizer is what it is, and I reckon he's going to smash him out probably in the first round. I can see this being over in a couple of minutes. Wouldn't surprise me if the first exchange got it done either. And I think at minus 300, that's pretty decent odds as well. Yeah. I think a lot of people are going to be sticking him on. All right, so onto the co-main. This one could be a little bit divisive as well. We've got Sharon Magomedov versus Michael Venom Page, and this is contested at middleweight. Just for those people who are a bit confused by this one, I'm sure everyone knows anyway. So yeah, how do you see this one going?
I'll start off with this one. So Char's coming off that beautiful KO with the double back fist, and MVP's coming up the middleweight. But what a lot of people are missing is that MVP's got I think he's got like a 6-inch reach advantage in this fight. Mm-hmm. And he's also going to be the faster guy too in this fight. Char doesn't really have great boxing. It's more so he does his work with his kicks. And MVP having that reach advantage and the speed, I don't think his power is going to translate as well at middleweight, but I do think he's going to touch Char quite a bit. And I think Char is going to be like, man, like this dude is way faster than what I'm used to. And I'm going with MVP. I mean, people in the chat say I look like him, so of course I got to go with MVP.
all bald black dudes look like.
Got to, man. Got to go with the bald black dude.
I wasn't gonna say it. Glad somebody did.
Man, dude, at first I was worried about the fact that this was at middleweight, but then I remembered, I mean, I don't think that that's really going to be a factor. And if anything, the speed is going to help MVP quite a bit. Char is light on his feet. He moves around a lot, and he does initiate exchanges, and that plays right into MVP's game. He's the counter striker, and a really, really good one, even at the age of 37. You add in that with the reach advantage, the speed advantage, like he's gonna get him. I don't know if he's gonna knock him out, like you said, but I do think he's gonna hit him far more than he's gonna get hit. And yeah, MVP is gonna take it.
Yeah, this is strange. I think I've got to agree. I'm not. The thing is, yeah, we've seen MVP go in there while he's been part of the UFC and throw up quite a few stinkers. I mean, he obviously beat Kevin Holland, but that's looking less and less impressive by the second. Seeing as Kevin Holland doesn't seem to give a shit about winning fights, period.
He don't care about his career.
He don't care about his career at all. Yeah. And obviously I actually felt like he beat Gary, which again looks even having a close fight with that guy looks good considering how good he was against Shavkat. I'm not convinced by Shower, I think, is the main reason why I'm leaning in MVP's direction. The thing that scares me about MVP is, again, he kind of needs his opponent to step up in order for him to be good. You know, he kind of fights at the level that his opponent's at. He's very like Leon Edwards in that way. Which is why I think this is a really good opponent for him, because I think Shower's going to bring it, and I think that might be an issue. I think Shower will force the pace. He'll try and attack more, and I think that will force MVP to be more active as well. Because that's one problem you get with MVP quite a lot of the time, where he doesn't throw enough and he can be a bit inactive and a bit sort of a passenger, waiting for stuff to happen. But I think Shower will force the action. And I actually think that we might see MVP get a brutal finish here because of that. I think it could be one where the not only do we get the Shower train like firmly derailed, but we also get that's what this whole thing about MVP was about, which we haven't really got to see yet. You know, the guy who has albeit against Cans, but one of the best highlight reel KO guys. I think we finally get to see that side of him. So I'm going to go with MVP knocking his block off. So another unanimous decision, and the chat does not agree with us at all.
At all. The chat does not like that pick at all.
I'm seeing Shower,
everywhere.
Retard. I added the retard bit, but the Shower. I guess we'll find out soon enough. All right. So finally, let's talk about the main event. We've got Israel Adesanya versus Nasruddin Imavov. I actually like this as a main event. I think it's a good fight. I give a lot of credit to Israel for taking this fight because, you know, it's a hungry up-and-comer. I don't think it's a fight he necessarily had to take. He probably could have got a name further up the rankings. How do you reckon this one's going to go? How do you feel about this?
Man, first of all, I definitely can appreciate the fact that you pointed out that he's taking a fight in his division instead of sitting back, letting things, roll on without him, and then crying about a title shot on a various show or anything like that. Like his other Nigerian brother, Kamaru Usman. He's not fighting in the division, not making a case for himself. Israel is saying, "I will fight. I'll fight down. That's what he's supposed to do, and prove that he deserves to be back in the title picture." So I give him kudos for that. As far as the fight itself, I think that I kind of strongly favor Izzy. I think that he was looking pretty good against DDP, until the end, of course, when that weird exchange happened and he ended up getting spooned by DDP until he tapped. So I thought that he was looking pretty good, but and that's going to bode well in this fight. So I think Izzy gets it now. I don't know if it's going to be a finish or anything like that because I don't know how his killer instinct is at this point in his career, but I do think that he'll do enough to get a finish. And that's not to say anything negative about Imavov. He's had some weird fights. The Chris Curtis fight was weird. The Jared Cannonier finish, even though he was winning, that was a weird situation. So I think the jury's still out on him. So he does have an opportunity to really put a stamp on his career, but I just don't think that he'll get it done here.
So I'm with you, Jax. Like, Izzy's doing the right thing, fighting down in the rankings. However,
see, I know you're gonna say something crazy because you're already smirking. I can already see
it. Nothing crazy. Bro, all I'm saying is I think he took this matchup because it's the most favorable matchup for him. Like, I don't think he wanted the Cal Barallo fight at all. He was like, nah, another guy with some grappling. Nah, I want no part of this. Let me go and get another striker, up and comer. I get a win, and now I'm back in the picture. And, you know, I think it's a very good matchup for Izzy. Just like somebody said in the chat, Imavov, he slows down in his fights, all of them. It's a 5-round fight, so that favors Izzy. And Imavov likes to strike at range, which is right up Izzy's alley. Like, I think this is perfect stylistic matchup for Izzy. I'm with Frankie. I'm not a big Izzy fan, but I just think the matchup is just tailor-made for him, and I'm going with Israel Adesanya as well.
Yeah, it's another clean sweep here, boys. I've got to say, we know that I'm not the biggest Izzy fan. In fact, I fucking hate the prick. Put it that way. But I'm gonna echo what Jack said. I thought he looked incredible against Dricus until maybe the best he's looked in a long time, which kind of illustrates just how good Dricus is. So from Izzy's side, I don't see any decline with him. I do like like Imavov's looked really good lately, but can we realistically pick anyone who once lost to Phil Hawes
He did,
to beat
dude.
Adesanya?
Jake Gerber, he posted that on Twitter, and I was like, man, I totally forgot about that. Totally forgot.
Yeah, that has not aged very well, to say the least. A lot of people are talking about Imavov's ability to potentially wrestle if he needs to, but again, bringing up the gas tank is very important here. His gas tank does dwindle in 5-rounders. I also think that Izzy's ability to scramble is very underrated as well. Like, he's not that easy to take down. Like, he's quite, he's proven in the past that, all right, he's not going to offensively wrestle anyone, but he's shown that he can get himself out of those situations. And I think if Imavov tries to play that game with him, he's going to gas quickly. And I don't think he will. I think he'll stand. I think he'll stand with him. I think he'll try and approach Izzy in the same way that Sean Strickland did, and try and put the pressure on, be on the front foot, and use his boxing to kind of deal with Izzy generally. And I think that Izzy's going to be a little bit too slick for him. And again, I see this going to a decision, and I just see it maybe, Israel Adesanya just touching him more in each round. And I think just getting a kind of clear, unanimous decision win. That's kind of how I see this going, and getting himself back on track. But I like the fact that you talked about it being like because if you consider what other options there are for him, it is probably one of the better matchups he could have taken.
It's the best matchup for him. Yeah, the best one.
Yeah.
That's
true.
So we have what, four clean sweeps out of that?
Yeah.
Or 2 or 3? That's
Which
very
is
unlike
crazy for us. That's crazy.
That's very unlike us. All right, so we're going to talk about some of the things that happened over the weekend. The first of which being the very last ever main event Bellator. Thank you, baby Jesus. They're finally dead.
For real.
I mean, PFL is still around stinking the place up, but they'll get their day soon enough. Now a lot of people were obviously discussing the fact that they felt that it was a bit of a robbery. I actually discussed this with No Chill the other day on Sunday when we did a very impromptu panel, which got very quickly out of control. If you guys haven't checked that out, then it was a mad one. We had Good Noodle on. We had Aaron Tats was on as well.
Oh, Tats was on there. Okay.
Tats was on. Yeah, he came on for like the last half an hour. And Giuliano came on as well. So it was a real fun one. But this is one of the things we talked about. It turned into like a blazing row where everyone was shouting at each other. So check it out. But I've since because No Chill had the opinion that that Usman clearly won the fight. And I argued against that a little bit, but I've since gone back and watched the fight. But before I state what my opinion is on it, I want to know what you guys thought. Did you feel that Paul Hughes was robbed against Usman Nurmagomedov?
You can go ahead, crossover.
Robbery? I wouldn't say a robbery. The fight was super close. Definitely when Usman got the point deducted, I was like, uh-oh, that's gonna swing the fight, like definitely one way or the other. Like, I was kind of back and forth. Whoever won, I'd be like, all right, I'm good with it. And then when the point deduction happened, I was like, uh-oh, we about to get some weird scorecards now. But I mean, I I don't know how you have robberies and really close fights, even though the point deduction definitely, even because I think the scorecards weren't even, they're still, it was like 40, Usman won like 4 rounds to 1 on like 2 of the judges' scorecards. And I was like, whoa, like I wasn't really expecting that. But the fight was so close and it was amazing. Really good fight. I loved it. But robbery, no, but that's just how it is in close fights, man. Like somebody's gonna be like, oh, this guy won, that guy won. But it was an amazing fight.
Yeah, I didn't watch it in real time, but I watched it afterwards, and I didn't think it was a robbery. I mean, I didn't think it was a runaway victory by any means. I thought it was a very close fight, very similar to what we saw when Sean Strickland fought Dricus du Plessis the first time. Like, good fight, close fight, Dricus won. Like, and just because the fight is close, even if the rounds go all one person's way, but all of the rounds are close, it's close, but it's not a robbery. A robbery is, and we always refer to this, Kai Kara France against Amir Albazi. That was a robbery. This is not a robbery. It's just a close fight. And I think the right person walked away with the victory. But I do want to see it again. That's for sure. Oh, wait, you're on mute.
I think you're mute, Frankie.
Yeah, that was one part for me that was a bit disgusting. You know, when Usman came out at the end and essentially was like, "Oh, it's going to take like 3 more fights for this guy to get back where he needs to be, and then we can talk about fighting again." I thought that was a pretty disgraceful thing to say, considering how close the fight was. But yeah, I will say this: like I've obviously watched it twice. When I watched it live, I felt that it was a draw. That was my takeaway from it. I felt that Usman had won 3 rounds. And Hughes had won 2, and obviously the point deduction then leveled it out. However, I've gone back and watched it since, and one thing that did stand out to me, the fight wasn't as good watching it the second time around. I noticed that it wasn't as entertaining as it was live. Maybe it's because I knew what the result was, and I was more watching it from a technical standpoint, but it didn't seem that fun to me the second time round. I think what led me to feeling this way is I think Hughes definitely had the more. First of all, it was definitely not a robbery. I felt like Hughes had the more wow moments. There, in the first 2 rounds, when he kind of like, I call it the Sparta kick. You know what I mean by the Sparta kick?
Mm-hmm.
He landed a Sparta kick on Usman in the first 2 rounds, which dropped him. Which again is very visually, it's kind of like, oh, this, you've knocked somebody down in that way. It's kind of a humiliating way to knock somebody down. And I noticed that he did have a lot of those moments in the fight where he was sort of mostly winging and missing, but when he was catching, it seemed very impactful. But I've got to agree with Nocho as well in that, I think what surprised a lot of people, his ability to like defend the takedowns and scramble his way out of them. Nobody expected, especially watching a Nurmagomedov, you don't expect to see that as often as you do. And the way that he was shrugging him off was amazing. And I think that might have poisoned people's minds into thinking he was winning the fight more than he was. Because if you're actually watching it, Usman was landing a bit more. He was hurting his legs, he was hurting his body, and he was doing that a little bit more consistently. So I felt like he did win the majority of the rounds. I could make an argument for 4-1, and then one of the rounds being evened up closes the scoring, which is why the scorecards were a little bit off. One thing I will reiterate again though is the moment I can't remember what round it was, but do you remember when the fight got paused for an illegal strike? I think that Hughes landed on Usman, and then Usman got like a 3 to 4 minute break, which he really milked.
He needed it too in that moment. He needed it.
That's the part that really swayed it for me, because even though if you just look at the fight the way it was, the 5 rounds, Usman won the fight. But if you think about the fact that foul didn't happen, when they looked at the replays, he didn't touch him, and then Usman milked it for 3-4 minutes and got a rest at a time in the fight when he was really gassing out and hurt. And then he goes, I think it was in the 4th round, and then he went to go on and win that 4th round. that's where the fight kind of turned on its head. And I'm a bit like, if that hadn't happened, Hughes was clearly on the crest of a wave, and I feel like he was on his way to potentially winning that fight. And that's more where I have the issue. And again, that's not necessarily the ref's fault for seeing it the way that he saw it. But again, it's more Usman cheated multiple times. There were 3 nut shots in that fight. And again, the so-called incident that happened to him didn't happen. It was a ghost incident, and then he milked it to get back into the fight. So from that perspective, I feel like Paul Hughes was really hard done by it. And watching it in the moment, I think that's what swayed a lot of people, because it felt like, firstly, the fight was going his way, and also that the more impactful moments were his. But looking back at it, technically, Usman fairly won the fight, and I don't have an issue with it.
And then on top of it, you got to remember, like, whenever the Magomedovs, the Dagestanis, all the guys, whenever they're in a fight and they're not just dominant and they're in a competitive fight, we as the fans and everybody's like, oh, this is the time they lose. This is the time. Like that's a very real thing. Like being at 311, when Marat would get a takedown on Umar, the place would erupt, because we don't get to see these guys have to compete and look human. And when we actually see it, like, everybody's like, all right, this is when the big mighty guys finally go down. So that's a very real thing as well. And you know, like him milking that low blow that didn't really happen. Hey, that's just that's smart fight IQ in my book. Like, when you in that moment, hey, you do what you can, because at the end of the day, a win's a win. And if you're in that moment, you're not going to give your opponent any help at all.
No.
You know?
Yeah, I'm not going to feel sorry for the Nurmagomedovs as well, getting those moments where, you know, where like you said, every action against them gets overhyped, because they've had such preferential treatment over the years that it's like, when they finally get, you know, a little bit coming back at them, I'm not going to cry foul for them, because they've milked that whole thing for years. And I think I think No Chill, like, speaking about it with No Chill, he was 100% right about that, in that things are over exaggerated when it's a Nurmagomedov, because again, we don't speak about that, or we don't get to see that. And you've obviously echoed that here as well. We don't get to see Nurmagomedovs generally in danger or looking vulnerable ever. So obviously, when you do see it happen, it's a cause for celebration and a cause for enjoyment. And yeah, I think at the very least, it was a very competitive fight. It was a nice way to send that dirt shit promotion into the ground once and for all. Some people are sad about that. I'm a little bit.
Who are these people? Who's sad about it?
I don't think people even know what a Bellator is, mate. To be honest, I think more people. I think more people were like found out about this fight just purely because of the robbery aspect of it, and they were like, "There's another organization. What the hell? Oh, it's dead now. Oh shit!" And it was like that. So sad, but
hopefully PFL can get it together. We can get some more fight cards, man. Like, for real. Like, they got to figure something out, or start letting the fighters go. Let them come over to the UFC, and that way some of the fight nights get even better on this end.
The fuck's a PFL? What are you talking about, man? Oh, that shit is. All right, so obviously Bellator wasn't the only thing we got on Saturday night. We also had another BKFC show. Now, I've been told by multiple people that this was a banger of an event, to quote Sterling.
He would use some more adjectives with that too, though.
Yeah, he would.
I'm not as qualified as Sterling to. I'm only an English professor, bro. I ain't got the but I heard it was an amazing card. I've watched like bits and pieces of it. I do need to go back and watch the whole thing, because I heard it was a barn burner from beginning to end. Based on the way the landscape is now, how far do you think BKFC could go in terms of being a globally recognized combat sports brand?
Bro, I think BKFC, I think they have a real shot, bro. Like, for real. Because you think about it, all the guys that the UFC releases, and if BKFC can keep putting on shows like this, where they just absolutely kill it. And I mean, they picked the perfect spot, perfect weekend, had the right people on the card in Philly, had a lot of guys from Philly on that card, like very smart play on their part. And like the card delivered for sure. Like we got some brutal knockouts, and it was a great night of fights for real. And I would like to see them do well because it's just more options for us as the fans to watch and enjoy.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. I think what they've done is they've picked a lane that's different from what the UFC is, and really stayed true to that particular lane. And because it doesn't overlap with the UFC, I think that's one of the things that's in their benefit. Not to mention, they do a good job of promoting their events, getting recognizable names on their events, putting them in places that are significant, and putting them on weekends that aren't directly competing with pay-per-views. So, I mean, I think that because of their differences, that's what's going to make them successful. I think the sky's the limit for them, and that's a good investment for weird Connor.
Yeah, it's just weird Conor now, isn't it? It's like
Yeah.
it's not just, oh, there's Conor McGregor again. It's like I mean, we can't keep our eyes off him one way or another, but
Yeah.
he's just that guy now, and he's just.
And him
Yeah, I've
being
got.
there is going to bring more eyes one way or the other.
Oh yeah,
Good or
definitely,
bad. It's going to get more eyes on BKFC for sure.
bro. Definitely. Like I was just to give you an example, I was obviously at work today, and I was talking to some of my students. We obviously brought up UFC. I always try to provide an opportunity to talk about combat sports with anyone when I can, because I don't know anyone in real life who gives a shit about it. So I take any opportunity I can get. And I mean, some of these guys have just turned 18. And I asked them if they watch UFC, if they watch MMA. They said, yeah. And I said, like, who's your favorite fighter? And they all said Conor McGregor. It's like, these guys are 18. And it's like, I said, do you watch cards every weekend? They're like, no, we don't. But if we see that Conor McGregor's about, we're. So again, it goes to show. I think BKFC is already, that danger zone they were in where it could have all fallen apart.
Yeah.
Where they needed something big to happen, or else they were going to go. I think they've already passed that. Threshold. I think they're on the way to being massive already. They've already got the spotlight on them, and it says, I can't remember exactly who said it in the chat, but it's that element of not only have they got Conor McGregor, which is obviously big for them because whatever he does, he's going to get attention to it. It's action from beginning to end. They're standing and throwing fists. I mean, there's no. It doesn't get more primal than that. There's no times when you'll be tuning in. Like I said, we've seen this many times, boys, where we've tried to get somebody involved in the sport, and we said, "Watch this card; it's going to be amazing." And then you get two fucking Dagestanis scissoring on the ground.
Yeah,
You get called. You get called a you know what, and
It's like those posts you see where it says, "When I watch MMA alone," and then when I invite other people to watch it, and it's just grappling and there's nothing going on. It's bro, that is the most accurate post I've ever seen.
It is. And they're making jokes about how you've got a grinder account, is all that, it's all just like, it's all peak. So BKFC does not have that problem. They will get in there and they'll throw. It at the very least, there's always going to be some level of brutality to it, just because they're throwing, unprotected hands at each other, and there's no grappling to worry about. I think they're on their way there. I think they're going to be huge. I reckon they will firmly, in the next 5 years, they'll be firmly. I mean, not that it means that much. Let's be honest, but they will firmly be number 2. You could make an argument that they might be number 2 already.
Yeah, it'd be hard to push back on that. You see the PFL and formerly Bellator fighting to stay afloat, to stay relevant, whereas BKFC is thriving. It's just different, man. And then the fact that they aren't as star dependent now, I think that and they're able to start to developing some of their own stars, I mean, they're definitely trending in the right direction for sure.
Yeah, they are, and I'm to be honest, like I'm all for it. Like I think we need, and again, they're not competition, but again, it's an alternative. It's something else we can watch on the weekend, and I think the more that they expand, we'll see more shows from them. And again, we'll get more. And again, we talked about this before with BKFC. There's a natural crossover there. There are so many fighters in the UFC and in, well, PFL everywhere that could naturally make a transition over there. There's more stars getting an opportunity to be made, and I love everything about it. And I hope they climb on to do really, really well. All right. We've got two more things to talk about. I'm not sure if we want to get the circus show out the way first, but you know what? We'll talk about, because we didn't get a chance to talk about this. It was a little bit further back. I want to talk about Marab because I think I'm in love, boys, and I'm not afraid to announce it right now. Obviously, we know that Marab's. I know he's only had 2 title defenses, but unlike a lot of, I'm not going to name certain people. I don't want to get into that. But let's just say he went through it the hard way. He pretty much had to clamber through everyone in the division. So even though he's only had 2 defenses, he's pretty much clocked the division already.
1 defense.
So sorry, 1 defense, but he's had the title shot and the 1 defense. So he's basically been in 2 title fights. My bad. I explained that the wrong way. However, you look at the bantamweight rankings and it's tricky. So my question is, again, what do we do with Marab moving forward? What should his next fight be? Not what will it be, because we know what it's probably going to be. What would you do with him at this moment in time?
I know exactly what I would do. I would have Sean O'Malley fight Corey Sandhagen. I don't think that Sean should jump right into a title fight, no matter how popular he is. And of course, if anybody has viewed things on my channel, they know that I am a fan of Sean O'Malley in the cage. Outside the cage, he's weird, but in the cage, I'm a fan of the work that he does. But I don't think that he has the gravitas to jump right back into a title fight based on what we saw Marab do to him. So I would have him fight Corey Sandhagen, which is a fight that I believe everybody is interested in, just to see how that shakes out. For Marab, I'm going to have him fight the only viable person left, which would be Peter Yan. And I know a lot of people would say, yes, he's beat Peter Yan before, but who hasn't he beat? We're really running out of options. If you choose anybody else, they're probably coming off a loss too. At least Peter Yan isn't coming off of a loss, and there's been some time since he lost to Marab. So I would make Marab versus Peter Yan, and whomever wins the Corey Sandhagen and Sean O'Malley fight, they would fight the winner of Marab and Yan. And we'll see how the rest of the division goes.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you on that, Jax. I was thinking that, maybe Marab took this title defense pretty quickly, so he gets a chance to get a little time off and just see what happens in the division. Definitely Peter Yan is an option. He beat Davison Figueiredo, but another guy that's gonna need a fight. I wouldn't give him much chance in the matchup, but I think he's earned it. Alexandre Pantoja's earned the right to move up. He has. He's cleaned out his division, beaten all the contenders down there, doesn't have a number 1 contender. I would think he's earned the right at it, but at the same time, I wouldn't give him much of a chance against Marab. I think he would just get manhandled and ragdolled. But outside of that, if it's not Pantoja going for double champ status, I would go with Peter Yan too.
Yeah. It's again, this is such a tricky one. I mean, if we're looking at the top 5, the only top 5 fighter he hasn't fought is Corey Sandhagen, and we obviously can't do that. He's coming off a loss. I mean, you could technically do it, but it's not a great look. We can't do Figgy. He obviously just got dominated by Jan. And I know that Jan is a shout, but I don't think a lot of people would be scrambling for that. I mean, looking back at it, Marab dominated him for 5 rounds. It was even worse than what he did to a lot of. It was worse than what he did to O'Malley, and it was worse than what he did to. Well, certainly worse than what he did to Umar. He smothered him. There is a chance that the
49,
fight could
49 takedown attempts.
crazy. I mean, yeah, he absolutely just like. I mean, it wasn't like an unexciting fight either because there's something. The thing was with Marab, and this is what made me kind of really enjoy him against Umar as well. He makes the mockery that he has that he does throughout the whole thing kind of makes it enjoyable. Watching him break somebody is kind of fun to watch. You know, you can see there's just this fucker isn't stopping, and they're just like, my god, he won't leave me alone. This little this guy's a freak. This weird goblin won't just back down. And I love just seeing that expression in people's faces where they just give up. The
Yeah.
truth of the matter is, like, I don't think it matters who they put up against Marab right now. I think he beats pretty much everyone. I think at that weight class, with what he brings to the table, I don't think anyone beats him anyway. But I would probably, if we know they're going to do O'Malley, it's going to be him and O'Malley next. As undeserving as it is, they should do. I'm with Jax on this one. They should do O'Malley and Santhagen, then the winner. We get a very clear winner. Let
Mhm.
Marab chill for a little bit. But I'm with you guys. I think the only option is Pantoja because he's obviously cleared out his division as well. Highly
Mhm.
skilled guy, good cardio as well. I don't love it for him. I don't think he'd win, but he again, it's like what you said, Cross. He deserves it. I feel like he's at that point where he's because he again both these guys were guys that they clearly didn't want to be champion. The UFC didn't want them to be champion, and they've gone through the gauntlet to get to where they are. So they deserve that. They deserve that chance to fight each other. I guess it's not so much. It's not. It's probably not as enticing for Marab, but in a way, you could say Marab deserves a new, fresh contender that nobody's really faced before in that situation. And Pantoja deserves it for what he's done at flyweight. So
Yeah.
we know they'll
And
do
he
O'Malley,
does
but
deserve it. He does
he
deserve
does.
it. I think that I do think that would be one of the most lackluster champ fights we've seen.
Mhm.
Lackluster not because of them, but because of the popularity of or the non-popularity of Pantoja. Whether no matter what people in our circles, the people in the chat who are hardcores think about him, he's just not
Mhm.
universally known. So it wouldn't be as big of a pop of as other champ fights have been. But I definitely think that he deserves it. Definitely think that he deserves it, and I
I think it'd
definitely
be a
think that he
great
would
fight
lose
as
it.
well.
I think
I
that
think
he
it'd
would
be a really
lose.
good fight.
But yeah, I mean the grappling exchanges, he's very dangerous.
Mhm.
He's a dangerous person to grapple with. It's possible that he could win,
What
but
would y'all think of Figgy going down to 125 to fight Pantoja?
I'm not sure if he can make that weight again. And again, it's like he's 30, 37? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, he has beaten Pantoja. I mean, if he decided to go down there and do it, 100% deserves it.
mhm.
You know, he went on a very good win streak in bantamweight. I don't think he was killing himself getting down there. And I think now that and it looks like he's filled into that bantamweight frame. I don't know if he could even make the weight. So I don't know. I mean, it would be a great fight. But again, we just get left in we get left kind of leaving flyweight in limbo. The only reason it would be interesting is if Figgy was able to get down there and and win and defend again. Again, it opens up flyweight a little bit more because it brings more people in who may have lost to Pantoja that haven't lost to Figgy a second chance. But
Mhm.
there's a lot of ifs and buts in that one. I like it as a standalone fight. Be great. You know, top level flyweights banging it out is always good entertainment, but it's just a shame because I feel like both divisions are kind of in limbo right now in terms of the championship level. The rest of the division's fine.
Yeah.
It's more just like we don't have any viable contenders. But I
Mhm.
like it as a standalone fight.
Yeah, we have a lot of divisions that are in weird situations because of the champ being in a situation where nobody can see them being beat. You know, Pajeda, like who's beating him? Maybe Ankalaev, but probably not.
What did I
Taporia.
just hear? What did I just hear you say, Jax?
Hey man, I want him to win. I just think he's gonna be.
We should have talked about that.
I want him to win, but I think he's gonna be dumb, man. I just don't think he's gonna use the tools correctly. You got Taporia, who's beating that dude? We got one viable, real challenger, and he's not even fighting that guy next. Like nobody's beating Islam. Like it's just a
This
lot
could
of.
be a very this could be a very interesting year in terms of
Monk is the favorite.
no movement.
Ankalaev is the favorite. Yep.
I think it evened out.
Yeah, I think it's a pick'em now. Yeah, I think it's a pick'em now.
Yeah. So it's I mean, yeah, I'm personally gonna be putting a lot of money on Alex, but it's a tough one.
I mean, and just think if Kayla Harrison gets the belt, then now we've got dominant champions all over the place.
Yeah.
Might as well just fuck it all off, really.
Now we got to go watch PFL.
Fights, let's not get crazy now. No one's watching that shit. All right. All right. So speaking of dog shit, yeah, I think we know we might as well end in the toilet, as we usually do. Speaking of cunts that I hate. Apparently these two clowns are fighting each other. Well, I say fighting. Apparently they're having a boxing match. I haven't heard like what the stipulations are going to be, what capacity is going to be in, if it's going to be a professional fight or I don't know, fucking idea. I'm shuddering to ask this, and I'm sorry for asking this, but first of all, what do you guys think about it? I mean, we know what you probably think about it, but how do you think it goes? I guess. Sorry.
I think Jake's the better boxer. I'm not interested in it at all. I'm gonna be honest. Like this is literally like when they said these two were gonna be fighting each other, I was just thinking about like their mom telling them to stop fighting each other like in the kitchen or something like that. Like I can't take it serious because at the end of the day, like neither one of them want to seriously harm their brother. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you reckon, Jax?
I mean, I agree. This is the ultimate gimmick fight. It makes no sense that they're even doing this. If they were to fight for real, like if it was a real fight, I mean, Jake destroys Logan. Logan's a way better athlete than Jake, but you know, there's athletes and there's boxers, and Jake is a boxer. And I think that if they do fight, then Jake will just carry him through the fight, you know, not hit him for real. Logan, at some point, he'll try to hit him and make something happen, but it's going to be a waste of time, and they're going to make a lot of money, and it's going to be annoying.
Yeah, I'm with the chat on this one. I think this is complete bullshit. Like, I just think it's another rigged farce. I think they'll do everything they can to hype up in the weeks leading up to the fight. They'll expose each other's secrets. They'll go at it. It will seem like there's real hatred there and bad blood. They'll get people hyped up for it. I mean, let's be honest. Like, I'm gonna watch it probably. I ain't gonna be paying for that shit, and I don't think a lot of people are either.
Absolutely not.
Nah.
So that I think, and there's a lot of dark clouds over how much these fuckers sell, and the reason why I'm unfortunately a bit skeptical is I've seen how, I don't mean to shit on our own platform because obviously we use YouTube, but people that follow these people are fucking simps. To like you've seen how You know, these YouTube influencers, people are buying their merchandise. They're fucking licking their arsehole at every opportunity. I reckon there are people out there buying this dog shit. So from like a commercial standpoint, I reckon it does make a lot of money. They're not going to get any fucking money from me. I know they're not going to get any money from you boys, but we are going to tune in, aren't we? We're going to watch it because it's
I
what we
might
do.
watch a round or two, and then if I'm like, yeah, this is BS, I'll just turn it off.
I think
Yeah.
we're going to know within. I think we're going to know within 30 seconds. I think even discussing this as a real contest is a waste of time. I think it's like it's not going to be. They're going to fucking. This is everything they do. It's like the coin dumping, all that stuff. This is just another version of that. This is what they're doing. They're just greedy. I don't know how much money these fuckers need, but this is another rug pull, in my opinion. I don't get why this is happening.
Yeah. If they can continue
Other
to
than money.
squeeze American people for money, or not even just American, just people in general for money, they're gonna keep doing it.
Mm-hmm.
But if it was a real boxing fight, of course, Jake would beat him up.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not gonna. That's not what we're gonna get. We're gonna get like them staring at each other. It's gonna be like a date, but like weird. It's gonna be like a weird incestuous cringe date that we're all gonna feel violated for, giving up valuable seconds of our life to viewing.
Yeah.
I'm
feel
personally
like
I
the
want to
collateral.
see. I was just gonna say I want to see Jake fight a real boxer. That's really all. When it comes to them, that's all I want to see. Just fight a real boxer, man. Somebody real.
The only way I can see this being good is if, like, let's say hypothetically, Jake is clearly winning the fight, and then Logan lands a shot, and it like pisses Jake off, and he's like, "Oh, you want to hit me for real?" And then now Jake is really going at, like, that's the only way I can see this
But
potentially
this
being
is the problem
entertaining.
with this fight, yeah, because it's like bad good, because if one of them gets flattened out, you're happy. It's like, yeah, because I hate both of them. But then it means that one of them gets to revel in the taste of victory. So it's like win-win, lose-lose. It's a really horrible situation to be in. It's mostly lose-lose because but if one of them gets absolutely like fucking like humiliatingly ironed out, and to be fair, like I would the reason why I have some level of interest in this is because as much as I hate both of them, the hatred that I have for Logan is far greater. I think he's way more of a scumbag. Like him in particular, I actually would prefer one of them to win over the other, which is why I'm hoping in somewhere deep down in me that they what I'm hoping really is that they set this up as kind of a ruse where they're gonna fuck us all over, but in the whole thing of it, they get carried away, and it ends up becoming something because of their egos.
Could be.
That's what I'm hoping for, and I want to see one of them in a body bag at the end of the night. That'd be real good.
You know what? I see people in the chat talking about well, Jake Paul fought Tommy Fury. You know, that's a real boxer. Tommy Fury is a part-time boxer and a
Yeah, he's not
part-time
a real
model.
boxer.
I want to see him fight a
Yeah.
real boxer. Like that's what they do. That's what they're known for, not for being the
I
brother
mean,
of a
I
real
hate all
boxer.
those guys. KSI as well is fighting a fucking former Premier League footballer. I don't know if you saw that.
No.
You probably didn't.
Nah.
Yeah, he's fighting a guy called Wayne Bridge, who's never boxed in his life and is like a 45-year-old former Premier League footballer, defender. Like, again, it's all a joke. It's just embarrassing.
But if people are paying
It
for
is.
it,
It's
they're gonna keep on doing it.
They will, and that's the thing. It's just mad that it's mad what people will pay for. It's crazy. I don't get it. I'm sorry to end it on this note, but I felt like as soon as I saw it announced, I was like, I'd rather just talk about it for 5 minutes with you guys and just vent rather than feel the void, feel the urge to like make a video about it and waste a day of my life editing it and all of that. I'm like, fuck that. These cunts don't deserve it. It's gonna be like, I'll talk it out with you boys for 5 minutes. We'll shit all over it, and then we can just move on. So that's where we're at. Is there any other business you guys want to bring up while we're here?
I feel like we've covered most of it. I can't think of anything. Yeah.
Anything else going on in the channels or anything you want to talk about?
I'll say for me, I'm actually working on a video. Me and Sterling from S Dogs MMA have a video coming out. Probably should come out tomorrow. So definitely keep an eye out for that. And then also, I did a live chat earlier today, and I'll probably start doing live chats more often on Wednesdays during the day for here, but around 12 Central. So y'all keep an eye out for that as well.
We are going to talk about GFL next time we're on, because I feel like we need to proper lube up and give that a good spanking, that one. Because I didn't watch. The reason why we didn't talk about it today is because I didn't even watch the draft, because I'm very much of the view of those who I think we get. I'm kind of thinking of a, an over under on if we get one event, or just one event, the over under on one event. So I could see it potentially fucking collapsing before they even get one. So I don't know. But I haven't watched the draft and stuff yet. That whole fucking thing is weird. But yeah, before we head off, if anyone here is subscribed to me and not subscribed to Crossover MMA and Making the Walk MMA, please do so. And there's obviously some great creators in the chat as well. We obviously had Dougie's Corner come in. We had Paradox to Chad. We had No Chill MMA. Kloss has a channel.
Andrew,
Crystal Miller, Andrew B.
Yeah.
Combatics MMA was in the chat earlier as well. JPL Hooper has a channel called Silk Pajamas. If you could subscribe over there. Again, it's just supporting everyone in the community, and we will talk more about the Silk Pajama stuff again on the next stream when I've got to liaise with him a little bit and talk about that. But shout out to everyone who came into the stream today. We appreciate every single one of you. Sorry, it's a little bit of a short one today, but I've got other things going on in my life right now, and fuck all of you, basically. You're not that important to me anymore. You're lucky you get 60 minutes. Fucking like it and enjoy it. And also, guys, if you could throw up a like on the I should have said like the stream before I started fucking insulting everyone.
Yeah, you've been going backwards.
Exactly.
Bad way around. I was like, fuck you all, you're not important. Like and subscribe. Yeah, much love to everyone. I really appreciate having all of you here, and again, support the community. We will do there'll be some more videos coming out and stuff over the course of the next few days. There'll be more lives. May even do a fucking watch along for this one, seeing as I'll be pretty much rolling out of bed and this will be starting. So we'll see how it goes. But blessed to everyone in the chat, blessed to you guys, thanks for coming on. And yeah, I'll catch everyone later on in the week. We'll probably be on Friday.
Later.